Welcome to the Hard Rocket Sports Studios and another edition of the weekly video recap. The March 31st show kicked off. And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from High Top Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are here to our weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, across the wide world of sports. And guys, welcome to Thursday night, October the 3rd. That's right. Wow. October the 3rd in the year of our good Lord 2024. Hope you guys have had a great week. I had a good one. It was a good birthday. I want to thank everybody for the birthday wishes. It was 57. So yeah, it was a good birthday. Got to spend some time with my parents and saw all the kids, and it was a nice relaxing weekend. Good football. Huskers won. Giants lost on Thursday. Jets lost on Sunday. We had the end of the baseball season. We got the beginning of playoff time. We got a lot to get to tonight. Let's see. We'll start with first. You got the passing of one of the best hitters in baseball, Mr. Pete Edward Rose, who passed away this week at the age of 83. Obviously, everybody knows Pete's story, and we'll get into that. You know, I was trying to figure out, is Pete Rose in my top 20 players of all time? I don't know. I don't think so. I'll tell you why. Maybe Jeff will feel differently than I do. Maybe my dad will feel differently. I don't know. But Pete Rose, and I'm not trying to disparage the man in death. Believe me, I'm not. I think he was a really good hitter, maybe a great hitter. But I just don't think I can put him in my top 20. But I'll have to think about it a little bit more. We'll talk about it on the air. We'll talk about, again, Jets and Giants. Disappointing for both. Really disappointing if you're a Jet fan. We'll get to that and plenty of it. There's a lot of stuff going on around the NFL. Lots of teams losing, winning. Very up and down year. Teams are starting to catch their stride. But, there's a lot of 1 and 2. There's a lot of 1 and 3, 2 and 2 teams. Only 2 teams undefeated at this point. The Vikings, the surprising Vikings, and the maybe overachieving Chiefs, who are ravaged with injuries and plays not playing well, but they do have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So, and that might be enough. We'll talk about the Mets and their improbable finish to the season and their current playoff run here. They are 1-1, playing tonight. They should be starting any second now in Milwaukee, trying to get to the division series. So we'll talk about them. The Yankees come up this weekend against the Kansas City Royals. It's kind of an old school matchup. It reminds me of the late 70s. Yankees Royals seem to be every October. So we'll talk about that. Let's see what else is on my schedule of things to talk about. I'm opening up my Jets. A lot of Jets tonight. Mike, we'll talk a lot about a little NFL. Pete Rose, whatever else pops into my head tonight, along with Jeff. Folks, real quick. I hope everybody's praying for the people in North Carolina, in Tennessee, in Georgia, Florida. So many areas in that area ravaged by the hurricane. Whether you believe in climate control or you don't, and I'm not one who subscribes to a big subscriber to that theory. This is devastating, and I gotta tell you, I'm one. I'd like to donate. But you just never know who to really give it to. How does it get best to the people? So please give, but be careful who you give it to. Make sure it's going to get to them. I think it's important. I mean, there's a lot of people who just don't have anything, and I have to just a little bit of politics. I'm not going to go deep into it tonight, but guys, the response by our government is horrendous. The fact that they're already complaining that they have no money. They spent almost $1 billion on migrants of the FEMA money, and now they have no money for hurricanes. I mean, are we killing ourselves? I heard Harris on the air talking about what the government is going to give people $750. Do you realize they give migrants $350 a week? And we're talking about giving these people who basically lost everything, have nothing. We're going to give them $750 and a pat on the back. It's really disgusting. And I have to tell you, the leadership today is horrendous. Just do your homework. Make sure you check in on November 5th. You can vote early. Please do. This is important if and listen, if you got a chance to watch the vice presidential debate, it was basically an old school debate, which I thought was great. I thought both guys did a fantastic job. I would say I think both guys were respectable. They treated each other with dignity. It wasn't a slap fest. I didn't agree with I didn't agree with everything either candidate said. I thought Vance was spectacular. I thought Waltz was okay. He slipped up a few times and he lied out. He just lied in a couple things and got caught. And he's got to deal with that. But it was an old school debate where you didn't mind watching for 90 minutes. It was old school, and I'm hoping that someday we can get back to stuff like that. That was policy conversation. Now, it was too much stuff on anything but what I wanted to hear about, but that's okay. So again, November 5th, folks, make sure you check in and vote your conscience, but just look at the way things are and why would you want 4 more years of it? I got to just say, you got to be out of your mind if you really think you want 4 more years of absentee leadership. Who's running the country right now? That's what you got to ask yourself. Who's really running this country? Biden's on the beach. She's campaigning. Who's running this country? And whoever it is doing a bad job. And if Harris wins, these are going to be the same people running the country for the next 4 years. So please do me a favor. Do your homework. Please vote smart on November 5th. Anyway, let's get the show kicked off. And I'm looking forward to some debate and some conversation, frankly, with Jeff. And I'm going to take my lumps. That's right, folks. I'm going to take my lumps. Jeff's squad kicked the crap out of me this week in fantasy football. My team didn't show up. My tight end got no points. My quarterback was respectable. My running backs were not. My receiving corps has been decimated by injury, whether it's Tyreek 2 is out, so that means Waddle's done nothing. Adams is miserable and hurt. It's been a bad year. I'm 0-4. I'm looking to rebound. I made some pickups. Let's see what happens. I won't give up the ship, but I took my lumps. So what are you going to do? Come back and fight again this week. Anyway, week 5 in the NFL, folks. Stick around. We got plenty to talk about. There's only one way to start this show off, and that's by bringing on my buddy, Mr. Jeff, the Blackest Sabbath, Tolwinski. What's up, man? We're about to have technical difficulties.
Hello, peasant.
Yeah, peasant. I give you peasant.
How did it taste, Tom? How did it taste to lose? How did it taste? How did it feel? Does it still sting?
It stung. I have to admit. I'll be the first one to say it stung. It hurt. My team just didn't show up. That's just it. That's where it goes.
You know what that sounds like to me, don't you?
I have no idea what that sounds like.
That sounds like a fucking excuse.
No excuse.
Excuses.
When you don't show up, you don't show up.
My better team.
My tight end has got no points in 3 weeks.
You lost to the better team. That's what it's all about.
That's it. I got beat. There's a long way to go. I'm hoping to start a run today, and hopefully when we meet in week 15, I'll have a better and a different team, and I will extract my revenge.
Wait, first of all, I'm going to draw my attention away from you for a second, and to this other. Who is this that comes about and says he beat us both? Who is that? I haven't heard the sound of this man's voice in I don't know how long. And the first thing he says is that he beat us both. Listen to me here, stranger. Me and Tommy will be joining forces again next year to rid the league of the scourge such as yourself.
Michael, nice to hear from you, Mike. Thanks for popping in. Mike, you should be getting all excited. You should be getting ready for your Met game. Big game to hopefully Alonso doesn't step and fall over his bat again, but I got a good feeling tonight. I think the Mets move on to the Phillies. Should be a great series this weekend if they do. I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm not looking to jinx. I'm sorry, but I do believe the Mets will win tonight. I think they are the better team.
You know what? I don't know much about baseball because I don't watch it. You know that, but I mean, the one thing I do know is the Mets have been coming on as of late.
Yes, they've been
the hottest team in baseball, them or the Padres right now.
Well, I mean, I think at this moment, probably the Padres might be the best playing team in baseball. But since June, the Mets have been, if not top 1, 2, 3. They've played great baseball. They've had some ups and downs, but they've played some solid baseball with a team. I got to be honest with you. I don't think it's the most talented team. They just seem to have some chemistry, and they got and between good solid pitching and Lindor, they've got to this point. So they won a really good game. I mean, really one of the best baseball games I've seen in a long time on Monday when they beat the Braves. And then a good win in game 1 against the Brewers. Tough loss last night. And again, hopefully they rebound tonight when they get started. And they should have started. They are started right now. Runner on second base and 1 out. So I'm surprised Michael's not watching it. But looking forward to. We'll talk a little Mets at some point. I want to talk a lot of Jets tonight. There's a lot to talk about with your Jets. We have a lot to talk about with the Giants. There's some NFL stuff to get to. We're going to talk about Pete Rose. Let's see what else I got on my list here. Yankees. We got the Yankees kicking off this week. See you later, Michael.
See you later, Mike. Nice seeing you, man.
That's it, my man. And we'll get to a lot of stuff tonight. But Jeff, we always start the show the same way every week, and that's by saying, "Hey, Jeff, how was your week?"
Well, Tom, I'll tell you the truth. How my week was. It was great. You know
why?
Oh,
really? Why was it great?
Because it all started on Sunday.
Here we go.
It all started on Sunday when the dismantling began.
Yeah.
Okay?
I got you.
And it felt good. It felt good.
It felt
and
good.
Part of me was said to myself, you know what? This is a classic example of the student taking a one-time teacher to task.
So that's how you looked at it.
Yeah, and it felt good, man.
It did.
It felt good. It felt good to look behind me and see the shambles that the once proud and mighty Hard Rocket sports team was, and it's now just a pile of rubble.
I can't argue that point. It is a pile of rubble right now, which we will try to rise from the ashes of. But
I will say this much, and I got to speak about this, man. The one thing that I learned about fantasy football is when you're doing the draft, if you don't pay attention throughout the whole draft and pay attention to what everybody else is doing, okay, and I learned that this year after drafting my own team, because before in the past, when me and you did the team a couple of years, it was fun. It was great. And I wanted to do my own team because, once again, it's fun. You know what I mean? I like to do the team.
Right.
The one thing I missed was just another set of eyes. Somebody that was also watching things happen and watching what other people did. And we had that when me and you were doing the team together. So not much slipped past. So when all of a sudden you were like, no, we need to take this, we need to take that or whatever. But when it all falls on yourself, and then you look back and you're like, all right, I don't have no running backs. Shit, all of them are gone, you know? And then you scour the free agents and you look at them and you're like, all right, I'm keeping an eye on this guy. I don't know what to do with this guy. And then next thing you know, the guy you were hoping for is gone.
Right.
You know, it's just, I think it's a lot more fun when you have a partner to do it with.
Well, I agree. I would say to you that I haven't done fantasy in a long time until I got back into doing it with this league. And I did it because, Frankie and Matt and some of the guys. And then when you came on board, that's what made it fun for me to do fantasy. I don't mind doing it. I try to keep up with the best I can. But to me, it was more fun because, if I was busy like I was this week at work and I realized it was Wednesday and I didn't check my waiver wise, I know you were doing it, and then we were going. So yeah, it's fun, but it was more fun the last couple of years when we were doing it together. But it is what it is, and we'll get through the season and we'll figure it out from there. But it's been a good week. Like I said, I think everybody had well over 100 and something birthday wishes from people online. So thank you to my parents for the nice lunch that we went out for on Saturday. And for the kids, I got to spend some time with the kids on Sunday and watch some football and watch some bad football, which we'll get to. But we got a lot of show to get to tonight. We got a lot of things to do. So I want to get the show started. Let's get my dad on, see what he's got to say. And then I want to talk about some college football. I want to talk some Pete Rose. I want to get to the Jets. We'll talk Giants. We got some games this weekend, and the Jets are on 9:30 in the morning in London. So we'll get to all of that. And I thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with Jeff and I for a few hours tonight on a nice. I got to tell you, Jeff. I look up and it was like 6:45 and it was dark out. And I went, "Wow, it's winter time. It's here." Usually I'm putting sheets on the walls to keep the sunlight in. I'm like, geez, I gotta get more light in here.
Well, I actually have been doing stuff, getting Halloween lights ready. I got some here on my desk.
Okay.
I haven't been able to get them into place yet, but I got them lit up and stuff. And then I put Halloween lights in my on my sun porch, which I'm not done yet. My wife thinks I'm done, but I'm not. So I'll have to surprise her. She's like, you don't put too many. Like, sure, sweetie. My goal at this point in time is just to increase the conglomerate that Con Edison is with Halloween lights.
Yeah, you're so you go directly from Halloween right to when is the Christmas lights and Christmas decorations start flying up?
Well,
are you a November 1st guy, or you kind of wait until more to the middle of the month?
My wife will make us wait to the middle of the month, but little things are going to start sneaking in here and there.
Okay.
It could be within the next week. It depends on where we go and what we pick up here and there. Sometimes we pick something up. I'm not going to put it away for 3 or 4 weeks, just put it out and find a spot for it and
sure,
deal with it. But the house will have a lot of orange lights by the end of this weekend. Mm-hmm. So that'll be one thing, and that'll take us through to Thanksgiving. But because of Christmas, I'm gonna this year replace a lot of the lights like a week before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
This way, come Thanksgiving night, I just switch it and I'll be on. At least lights will be up.
Nice. Yeah, this is the first. This will be the second year we'll have a real tree, so we'll do that probably once we get back from Florida and our trip. And in the meantime, I'm starting to collect a few things. But to me, November 1st, I'm not the biggest Halloween guy, other than the Charlie Brown stuff. I could do without it. But November 1st to me is Christmas time. As soon as, I'm not skipping Thanksgiving. To me, it's all part of the package. November 1st through January 1st is my favorite time of the year. It's a fun time on the show. We got some fun shows. We got the dead list. We get to do.
I got this too.
What do you got?
On the desk, ready to go, and that is a bunch of peanuts.
Oh, nice.
Type stuff. So
we're looking forward to the holidays around here at the Hard Rock and Sports Show, and we'll be here for our 11th Christmas on the air. So we'll be celebrating with you guys as we do every year, and we'll keep you updated on our big jam. We have to start planning the big Christmas jam with the boys. I got a date or two in mind. I'm thinking the Monday between Christmas and New Year's.
Well, listen, as far as I go, you just plan it.
Well, I figure this.
And that's that.
The boys seem to like it during the week. Stay away from the weekend, so I'll do that. And then since Christmas is a Wednesday and New Year's is a Wednesday, I believe this year, the eves are Tuesday, so it doesn't leave much. So it's either the Friday night after Christmas or Monday. So I'm gonna try the Monday, and then we'll see how it goes. And then we'll have some alternate dates, and hopefully the guys are receptive as they were last year. Last year was a great turnout.
Yeah, it was, and I don't know if we're going to have the same crowd as last year.
Well,
I would like to, keep it a little closer to home this year than last year.
You and I will talk, and I will adjust the list accordingly to our conversation.
Yeah, and I want to keep we had too many drummers last year. There's
well, listen, you know how it goes. Sometimes you invite 5 drummers and one shows up, and some years we've had Last year we had 4 drummers. So,
Yeah.
The fourth drummer was your idea. So if you want to change that, we could certainly change that. But we'll have some conversations and we'll plan it. And I got some ideas for it. Last year I threw a couple of surprises in with the shirts and the photographer. I had a couple ideas to spice it up this year too. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's for down the road. But in the meantime, let's get my dad on. Let's see what he got to say, and then we'll get the show right off. So hold on a second. Let's get Pops on, see what he wants to talk about.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up, Pop?
Mr. Florio?
Did you hear they called the strike off?
I did see
couple
something
of
online.
months.
Yeah. He invoked the Hartley Taft thing where they.
No, he didn't.
Oh no,
not according to the news.
okay.
They just decided that they were negotiating, and the men would go back to work. He could have did this right away.
Yeah.
He's got that Harley, so
Yeah. Again,
but it
listen.
was stupid anyway because
Well,
they,
if you're the union, and I get you want to keep up and you want to get your guys money, and I get it. Well, when you come out, there's hurricanes, you have all sorts of problems. People are struggling, and you're asking for a 77% rate wage increase. It's a little bit of a tough sell. Now, I get it. Shipping companies are making money. Everybody should make money. I don't begrudge anybody. If you ask for it and you get it, good for you. But it's a tough sell to the people when you're finding out that you can't buy things. It's a tough sell. It's one thing to ask for it, but it's another thing to strike and say, hey,
I've
you're
been
not
on
going to
both
get what you
sides.
need. No, I
I've
get
been
it.
on both sides of that coin.
Sure.
I was in a union for 40, 50 years now. And it's you're out 6, 7 weeks, and the contractors are making money hand over fist, and they're crying the blues, and you got it's a no-win. The minute you go on strike for one day, you lost already.
Yes.
You shall never get that day back.
No, agreed. And again, I don't begrudge them for asking for the money. I really kind of with them on the automation thing. I get it. They're looking to, but again, you kind of gotta. It's a little bit of the optics too. You kind of need the people behind you, both sides. You kind of need the people. Whoever wins the public relations battle has the upper hand, and it's a tough sell when you're telling people you can't get.
Hopefully, in this next month or two, they'll be able to negotiate something.
I agree. I'm sure they will be. And
I know a couple guys that are longshoremen, and everybody should make a fair, decent living. They already do. Okay, you're talking about guys. I don't want to put their business out there because I haven't spoken to them in a while. But a couple of years ago, a guy told me without even trying, he made over $250. I can only feel so bad for these guys. No. I'm not making $250.
Yeah, I listen. I agree with you guys. I was in the union, and I agree wholeheartedly. But you say he's making $250. If he's making $250, what is the contractor making? What is the?
I agree, but again, I'm agree with you. But when you don't know what the contractors are making, and then when you say, "Hey, I know a guy's making $250," and now he wants a 77% rate increase, you kind of go, "Okay, no problem," but you're now stopping me from getting my my goods. My shelves are empty because people are panicking. I'm just saying I get it, and they should make every dime they can make, and the same thing for the shipping companies. They should make every dime they can make. But all of it comes back to us getting kicked in the butt because
that's why I say if you strike for one day, you lost already.
Yeah, so
everybody lost.
Well, again, I'm glad to hear they're going back to work. There was talk that it would cost this country $5 billion for every day they were out.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, so
it's a lot of money.
I'm glad that that's over. I did see a couple people put something online, so I'm glad to hear the strike is at least suspended for it's a suspended.
That's what they said. It's going to be suspended.
Yeah, so that's
at least a month or two.
Yep.
Well, that means they're negotiating in good faith.
That's what that's all they should do. And everybody listen. The dock workers need the ports need the dock workers, and we all need both of them to get our goods here. Go sit down at the table, figure it out, like you're gonna do anyway. You've been through enough negotiation. At the end of the day, you're gonna get a raise. The ports are gonna save some money, and at the end of the day, everybody's gonna come out of there happy. And why torture everybody with it? So that's negotiate good faith. That's all.
watching a Met game, and
Yep.
I tell you the truth,
Yep.
if I'm the Yankees,
Yep.
I don't want to play the Mets.
Okay.
The Mets are winning games that they shouldn't be winning,
Well,
and that's
yeah,
what wins the World Series.
that's true. Look at last year's Texas and Arizona teams.
They shouldn't be winning games.
Yeah.
They won that game the other night to get to where they beat Atlanta.
Yep.
That I never
Yeah.
saw that before.
But they beat Atlanta. It was a great game. They won the Monday night game, came back and won. But then last night, they're up 3-2 in the 8th inning, and they lose. So, it comes and it goes. The Mets are a good team. The Mets are symptomatic of what's going on in baseball right now. Is you can name me a team, and I'll tell you they get a chance to win it because everybody does. They all are. Today, they're good. Nobody is lights out. Maybe San Diego, maybe playing the best baseball of anybody right now. But I wouldn't want to. Yeah, right. I wouldn't want to face the Mets. I wouldn't want to face the Phillies.
No.
I don't want to
You
face
got-
the
you got-
Royals.
I guess you could say every team has their own chance for their own reason
Yeah, it's just
to do good in the playoffs.
It's kind of like the NFL right now. Now the NFL has kind of been kind of slanted toward the Patriots and the Chiefs winning a lot of titles. But if you look around the NFL right now, most teams are 1-3 and 2-2. I mean, there's not a ton of teams there that are 4-0 and 3-1. So that's the same thing with baseball. That just
The difference with the Mets, though, it's not like the Yankees. If you can silence the two big guys, Soto and Judge, you got a good shot of winning the game.
You're right.
The Mets, there really is no, except for the shortstop, there really is no outstanding player where you could beat one guy. Everybody.
Yeah, they've been getting a lot of work, a lot of help from this guy Winker and then Tyrone Tracy. And one night it's one guy, one night it's another guy. They put together some hits. They're getting decent pitching. Again, if you told me the Mets were going to win the World Series, I wouldn't doubt it. If you told me the Cleveland Indians were going to win the World Series, I wouldn't doubt it. At this point, I don't think there's a clear favorite.
No.
So I think that's. If you're baseball, I guess it's good because every one of these series are good series. This is a good series. Both games have been competitive, back and forth. Hopefully tonight's the same way. And
should be a good game.
Mets Phillies would be a really nice weekend series.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you got to fear playing the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Dodgers get the pitching.
Yes.
If they get the pitching.
Yeah. It's again good baseball. Hopefully, I guess it'll be San Diego and the Dodgers this weekend. Good baseball, and then we'll see who gets to the NLCS and Cleveland, Detroit. It's not. It's a good series, but it's not. You're not. People aren't running to. I'm going to watch Cleveland and Detroit. It's just
I wouldn't stay up at night.
But Yankees Royals is like old school. It's back to the 70s again. And the Royals are a tough little team and. I mean, the Yankees are supposed to handle them. Will they? We'll see. But the Yankees are supposed to handle the Royals this weekend. So we'll see.
No, I think it's good that the Tigers are in there, man. It's somebody different.
Absolutely.
It seems like year after year, the Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers. You know what I mean? It's nice to see some different teams get in there.
Jeff, you got the Brewers in there. You got the Indians in there. You got the Tigers in there. The Royals are there. A lot of smaller market teams, teams that you're right aren't there, and it is good for baseball. And you got some of the bigger names. I'm sure if you're a baseball, you want to see Yankees Dodgers in the World Series. That's the matchup that baseball is looking for this year. But Detroit might have been the hottest team going into the playoffs right now.
They were the hottest team.
Yeah, I mean that's a team that was out of it or nearly out of it, and all of a sudden had a real great August and September, and next thing you know, they're in the playoffs. I don't know if I want to play Detroit right now, but listen, somebody's got to beat them, and let's see what Cleveland does. But you should get a lot of good baseball between tonight and the weekend.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, and we'll see who gets to the big game.
All right, guys, enjoy your night.
Thanks, Pops.
Okay, Tommy, I'll see you over the weekend.
I will see you.
Take care, buddy. Nice seeing you.
That's my Pops. He checks in every week, and we're glad to have him. Hey, Jeff, before we get on to Pete Rose, I want to talk a little college football with you. Now, I don't know. I know you're a big ESPN. You kind of scouring the internet for stories, and you read. Did you happen to read about the UNLV football player who basically quit in the middle of the season?
No,
Okay.
and unfortunately, I haven't been able to catch any college football this year.
Oh no.
No. I've been very busy on Saturdays. I want to watch it, but by the time I watch it, get to in front of a TV, I'm pretty much done for the night.
Gotcha. Well, I've been watching. I've been watching a lot of college football this year. Thank goodness. I love watching college football. It's been an interesting season. If anybody got to watch Georgia Alabama last week, one of the better games I've ever watched, and interesting because I started watching the game. I think it was a 7:30 start. I'm almost positive 8:00, and at one point I gave up. It was like 28-7 Alabama. It wasn't even a game. I might have stuck with it till after just about halftime. So I'm flipping back and forth, and we have the chat, me, you, Frank, Jeffrey, and Matt, and I think Frankie said something about it, and I turned it on, and Georgia's actually winning the game. And it went back and forth and back, and Alabama wound up winning the game. But what a great football game to watch, and that's why I like college football. So it's been interesting. Arch Manning has played 3 games since Quinn Ewers has been out, and played great. Ewers is going to be back one of these days. Manning goes back to the bench, but you could see how good this kid is. I mean, he really is the real deal.
How does this kid ride in the bench?
Well, because Ewers had a good season last year, and they weren't rushing the kid onto the field, and Ewers came back, and they thought he gave him the best chance to win. And he's played well, Ewers. There's no reason to change it. He's played every bit as well. Do I think he's a better quarterback than Arch Manning? No. Is Arch Manning going to be great against the better teams? We'll see. You might not see this year. He's played a little bit of lesser talent.
Is he a freshman or sophomore?
I believe he's a sophomore. His freshman year was last year.
Well, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Answer Frank's question with a question. And that is, Frank, do you think the Mets will ever win another World Series? I mean, it's been almost 40 years since they actually won something, and what is it, like 62 years that they're in the league, and they only won twice.
That's true.
That's almost as bad as the Jets. When was the last time they won? 1986. I was 20 years old. I'm pushing 60, and they still haven't won anything. That's a laugher. I got some more interesting facts about the Mets.
You do?
Yeah.
Good. I'll let you.
That was. Guess what their record is?
As far as what?
You know what, Frank? You just fucking ruined it, Dick. No, I can't even say. Honestly, no. Oh, but I didn't answer. Do I think they're going to win a World Series? I mean, a Super Bowl one day.
I want to get to
we had this discussion in person.
Yeah.
We had the discussion in person, and I told you that I don't put anything in front of them until it happens. And you said to me, I'm one of the only Jet fans that never does that. I don't know. I'm not a fucking mind reader, bro. If I was a mind reader, I could see the future. I'd be playing fucking lottery, lotto numbers.
We're gonna get to the Jets. Hold your horse on the Jets. I do want to get to the Jets. We'll talk more Mets right now. The Mets are bottom of the second inning. Nobody out running on second for the Brewers. Gary Sanchez actually got a hit. But I want to talk to you about this guy here. And this is the problem I had with college football. And I was out to lunch not too long ago with Matt and Frankie, and we were having a conversation about college football. And I said, it's not college football anymore. It's not amateur sports. It's actually just the minor leagues or the pros, because these guys are getting paid. Say again?
Sadly.
Yeah. So what I said was, I don't mind the guys making money off their names, their likenesses. If you put their name on a jersey or you put them in a program or whatever, I'm all for it. But I don't want players getting paid. To me, it changes the theory of it. You're getting paid by getting a free education and national spotlight as a player. To me, getting a paycheck kind of changes the whole complexity of it. And Matt was a little bit arguing with me, but not too much. But I said, it just becomes, you might as well, they're already trying to unionize them. It's going to be pro sports, but it'll just be the minor leagues or a different league. And the argument's back and forth with everybody, including Matt and me. But here's where it's kind of reared its ugly head. So UNLV has a quarterback who, another guy who went from the transfer portal, wound up at UNLV. And supposedly he was promised $100,000 to play.
First, I got to stop you right there.
Go ahead.
I need you to explain something to me.
Go ahead.
What exactly is the transfer portal? And hear my question.
Sure.
It sounds like I played for Oklahoma.
Right.
And I now want to go to UCLA.
Right.
Right. For whatever reason. But it seems as though that these guys, it isn't just cut and clear like, all right, I want to go to UCLA and that's that. Do they enter a portal and other people bid on them almost like a trade?
I would say the answer is more like free agency. So what happens is, back in the old days, if you were the quarterback at, let's say, Michigan, and you wanted to leave Michigan, you weren't playing, you were stuck behind the starter, you could transfer to another school. Let's say you want to go to Nebraska. But now you had to sit out the next year. So let's say you transfer in between your...
So if you go there as a sophomore, you would have to sit out your junior year, and then maybe you'll play in your senior year.
Correct. So now the transfer portal is different. Now the transfer portal says, okay, I am the backup quarterback at Michigan. I didn't play this year. So instead of coming back to Michigan, I enter the transfer portal, and now I am basically a free agent, and I can go to any school I want and play the next year. Some guys have done it 2 and 3 times. Bo Nix went from Auburn to Oregon. One of the kids, Luke McCaffrey, went from, not Christian, his brother Luke went from, I think it was from Nebraska as a quarterback to like Wake Forest as a quarterback to like North Carolina. Like he must have moved 4 times. So that's the first problem I have is the transfer portal. So this guy played, let's see, I'm trying to figure, I think it was Wake Forest before this.
Now, doesn't that hurt their stock? So, like, in other words, I leave Michigan, I go to Oklahoma, and then I go to Penn State, or whatever. Yep. And my position, I'm playing a premium position. Mm-hmm. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to give up.
It doesn't matter.
Playing a premium position. So now, excuse me, what does it show if I'm going from school to school to school? Am I hard to get along with? Am I not a team player? Am I more worried about myself? Like, is this a sign of things to come for when, I hit the pros and I'm like, it's year 2 of my 5-year deal and I'm not playing no more under this deal? I outplayed my deal already. Meanwhile, I'm my second year in the league and I already outplayed my deal. Like that's the mindset that gives me.
Yes. And it's true. If you're a player development guy and you were picking between 2 players and you had one guy who basically stayed his whole 4 years at one school and another guy who's bounced around the league, even if they're talented wise, you'd almost have to say, I'm going to take the other guy because, I know he's, a loyal, steady, solid human being as opposed to the other guy. So I don't like the transfer portal. I think if you want to do it right, you give them one opportunity. You have one time in 4 years where if you want to change schools, again, things happen. Sometimes, let's say, Jeff, you're a freshman. I'm the head coach at Alabama. And I say, Jeff, I want you to come play quarterback for me this year. You're going to be my quarterback at Alabama for your freshman year, for your sophomore year. So I want you to come in. You're going to sit down in your freshman year. You're going to play your sophomore year, and then you got 3 years here. You come in your freshman year, and we bring in 3 other quarterbacks, and they turn out to be at least one of them is better than you. Now you're not going to play, and you're stuck at the school. I think you should be allowed to do it. You should be able to transfer one time, but you should not be able to use it as free agency.
Well, if you're going to transfer because of athletics once, yeah, I could see that.
Yes,
but only because of athletics. Because
yes, agree.
But let's just say that somebody who is an athlete, goes to school, whatever school. Like now, the schools aren't important, but they go to school. And they say, you know what? I'm going to leave this school because I'm in a physics program, and the physics program in that school is better. But it just so happens that their football team is better too, and they happen to need a quarterback, and I just so happen to be a quarterback. And you want you want to transfer and go there.
Yeah.
But if you use the academic excuse, is anybody going to believe that?
No.
But there are people that do play on the football team and other teams that are there for academics, and football is second. You know, and maybe some of those people may transfer, but I'm sure that their play and their position and the possibility of them being drafted is affected by, like, somebody can clearly see that, you know, this guy plays football, but he's there for school. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so, I think it's an interesting take on it. I don't know how you would differentiate. Guy could say, "Oh, I want to go to a better program because they have a better thing," but yeah, I'm still going to play. I'm going to now have the opportunity to play football. So again, to me, you can make it simple and say, all right, if you want to move a second time, you can move there because it's a better program, but you can't play football anymore. So you could.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily fair, but
no. But I'm saying is that then you would eliminate the guy moving. If it's truly about the academics, then it's truly about the academics.
Well, let me ask you this. So let's say that let's use some of the bigger name schools. There's a guy like he's playing quarterback for Michigan,
right?
Okay, now all of a sudden he turns around and he puts in a transfer to Northwestern Southern New Mexico State University.
Right.
Okay. There's only like fucking 1,500 students in the whole school, but he also goes there to play football. Now, this goes from a Division I school to like a Division VII school, if there is a seven division.
Division III would be the bottom.
But like nobody's even heard of this school.
Right.
But he wants to go there because they got a world-renowned microscope program or whatever. He's going to build microscopes when he gets out of school, but plays football. Should that kid be, penalized when you know that he's not trying to get into the NFL? Yeah, no, again, I get it. I get your point. I'm sure there's ways to fix it, but right now guys are using the transfer portal as free agency. And every time they go someplace, they renegotiate a new deal. Maybe they get some sort of a bonus or an opportunity. And, they're just bouncing around college until they get the right spot and maybe making more money. So this guy, I'll give you. So this guy was at Holy Cross, which is a good school, but not, you're not showing up on TV every week. And he decides to go to UNLV. Supposedly works out a deal where they're going to pay him $100,000 to play there. Gets $12,000, and they basically tell him, "You're not getting any more money. We don't know what you're talking about." And the team is 3-0. 3-0. And he goes, "Well, I didn't get my money, so I quit, and I'm going home, and I'm going to transfer next year or whatever." So to me, now, while I don't know if there's stuff in writing, I don't know if there's contracts involved with all this stuff and how they work this stuff out. This is handshakes behind the scene. I have no idea. But this is the bad part of college football today, is right there that. So think about this. Not only is he basically coming out and saying, "I was supposed to be paid $100,000, I didn't get my money. I'm going to quit on my teammates in the middle of a 3-0 season because I didn't get paid." Now, I don't know what school he's going to go to next. If there's a school smart enough or dumb enough to take him, I don't know which way you want to go. But this is exactly what I was afraid of when they started this whole thing. Again, if you want to tell me that UNLV puts his name on a jersey, puts his name on a yearbook or on a poster, and they sell it, should he get money for that? Abso-freaking-lutely, he should get paid for that. Should he get paid if he goes to an autograph signing and they want to pay for his autograph? Absolutely, 100%. You can do it. Paying a kid money to go to school to play football, he's a professional football player, and this is what you get. And I think it's disgusting. And this is what drove Nick Saban out of college sports. It's probably what drove Jim Harbaugh out. And there is no more college football. And that is the shame of it all, Jeff. In the next few years, it will basically be a pro league with unionized players who go on strike, who sit out and lock out and all of that good stuff. While it's hard to fathom that, it's hard to argue against that once something like that happens.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that we'll be seeing something like that and trouble like that when 10 years ago, these players, there was only talk of them getting paid. But 10 years later, some of them are getting paid. What about the kid that's like the fourth string right tackle that plays maybe they put him in a blowout either way because he's so terrible, but his family donates to the school or something, and he's on the team because his mom and dad are hemorrhaging money and to get $50,000 a year on top of tuition.
Yeah.
So they got to take him. What about those kids that nobody wants to buy anything of theirs,
Yeah.
Like, so to give the quarterback the opportunity to make money from selling autographs or jerseys isn't really cool or fair to the rest of the team, no?
No, I couldn't agree with you more. If you're this guy and you're going to the next team, you got to say, do I want a guy like this on my squad? I mean, he said, after 3 games, I have decided to utilize my red shirt and enter the portal at the end of the season as a red shirt junior. So what
does that mean?
So red shirt means, so let's say you came in as a freshman and you didn't play at all. Or they come out and say, you're going to red shirt your freshman year, which means you still maintain 4 years of playing eligibility. So he could be a 5th-year senior and still play football, even though he's done in school, because you're allowed 4 years of eligibility. So now you can redshirt.
In other words, if he graduated after year 4, he could come back and play football for year
Pretty much,
5.
yeah, because he has 4 years of football playing. So if he redshirts his freshman year, sophomore year, he's going to redshirt his junior. So let's say he played football freshman and sophomore year somewhere at Holy Cross. He redshirted his junior year, which means even though he's a scholastic senior next year, he's a junior football player.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So basically he went on strike and said, screw you. You didn't pay me. I'm leaving. Screw my teammates in the season we're having. And I'm going to go play somewhere for 2 years next year because they're going to pay me the money I want.
And even at that, okay, to turn around and to know that you may be on the cusp of getting into the NFL and have the chance of playing in the NFL and getting a career. Why do you want to play an extra college football season and take a chance of getting injured in college and never collecting a cent from the NFL? I think it's smart when these kids, bail out on their senior year and go to school later on, or they go in school in the summer and they look to enter the NFL after their junior year to see where, at least you're getting your foot in the door to see where if after year 1 you have a devastating knee injury and you're never going to be the same again, much less play football, that at least you got something out of it, Tom, I'll take over real quick. I got to run in the other room if you don't mind.
That's all right, guys. Again, Hard Rocket Sports Chef. Now, but this is what I'm talking about when it comes to college sports, and that's why college sports is no more. And that's a sad part. It really is sad. I mean, the college sports was about the rivalry, was about the hunger to get to the pros, to get to that next level. It was about Saturdays and tailgating and just the pageantry and the traditions of the schools, and you just love to watch it because it was a bunch of guys out there playing for the love of the game, but B, for that opportunity to showcase themselves on the biggest stages in college and get to that next level. That was to get to the pot of gold, which is the NFL. And now this is just going to be the minor leagues of the NFL. That's just what this is going to be. Guys are going to go there for 3 years. They'll bounce around. They'll get to the right program. They'll get the most money they can make. Kid like Arch Manning is making a ton of money. There's also now some of these guys who are questionable pros, but good college players will stay there because they can probably make more money 4 years of college football than they will go into the pros. And I get it. Some of these guys will never have a chance to make hundreds of thousands of dollars or even tens of thousands of dollars playing sports. But that's where this is headed. College football, as we know it, is gone. This is it. Eventually it's going to be signing guys to multi-year deals. that's going to be the next thing you hear is, well, we signed him to a 3-year deal. He's got to stay at the school. He can't transfer out. We signed him to a contract. That's where this is headed. Unionization, health benefits, all of that stuff. This will be the minor leagues of NFL. So, I love college football. I have since 1981. I've watched college football since 76, 77, watching Earl Campbell get his jersey torn off playing for Texas.
Yep.
But, will I continue to watch? I will continue to watch. I don't watch the players anymore. I just root for the jersey. I don't follow guys because, to be honest with you, they could be there this week and gone next week or next year. So I just root for my team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And but I will tell you that one of the, they're driving the great coaches out because guys don't want to deal with this. Coaches don't want to deal with these teams the way they are because the minute you don't play a guy, instead of him working harder in the offseason, he's jumping on the portal and he's going someplace else.
It is a shame, but you want to know something, Tom? Everything is done. Is the money.
Yeah.
A lot of these college guys see some of these guys in the pros, how short their lifespan in the league is. Look at Tua, for example.
Yep.
Okay. Couple concussions earlier in the season. They were talking about him possibly retiring. Now that I looked on the fantasy website and they're like, well, he's been symptom free for a few days. He may be coming back, this, that, and the other thing, which I don't think that he should, but that's not my decision to make. And he's going to listen to the first doctor that says, no, you're good. And he's going to go out and play. So it just shows these kids that, anything could happen and, bang, it could be done. So if you can make, whatever, $100,000 for the year playing football and you're able to sock it away, for 20, 30 years, it's definitely going to be worth more than what it is now, and, that's how some of them are looking at it, but they want a little taste of the action now. And that's the money they're making that about.
Yeah.
What about the under the table money that they must be making?
I couldn't agree with you more. Again, the incentive to do things right, the incentive to love the game and love the school are all gone. It's about dollars and cents. If you don't play me or pay me or both, I jump on the portal. I go to another school next year. And if they don't do it, I jump on the thing and I go to another one the next year. And it's just free agency. And, there's no such thing. You're not going to go to a college and sign a long-term deal because you can only go there for 4 years anyway. So to me, it's 1 year at a time. And if you can make a name for yourself, great. But if you can't, make the money and move on to the next school or move on to the NFL. So it's a shame. Serious shame. But Hard Rocket Sports, that's Jeff and I'm Tom. Today is October the 3rd, and we're glad to have you here as part of us watching us tonight. And seems to be a lot of people out there hanging out with us. So thank you for tuning in. We've been talking a little bit of college football. We talked a little bit of everything. I want to talk a little bit about the Hit King.
You definitely need to.
One, I would say, probably one of the most, I won't say well-liked or most talked about, an enigma in the sense, go ahead, Jeff.
Keep going, Mike.
Some people love him. Some people hate him. I think most people respect the theory of the way he played the game, the Charlie Hustle, which obviously was a derogatory nickname when given to him by Whitey Ford. Again, I was never the biggest Pete Rose fan. I was the very first person I ever got to interview was Pete Rose. He was nice to talk to. Again, a very smart baseball guy. What he did, and then on top of it, lying about doing it and stonewalling, cost him. Jeff, let's start with how will you personally, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you hear the name Pete Rose, what would be the first thought process in your brain? Will it be a fond memory of Pete? Will it be basically Pete the Gambler, banned from the league? What would be your first thought process?
The man that was robbed.
Okay.
Robbed of his chance to be in the Hall of Fame while he was alive. Regardless of what he did off the field, And I feel the same as you do, by the way. Let me just get that out of the way. He's not my favorite baseball player. If I was to field a team, I wouldn't want him. I know he played first base, he played outfield, he played third base.
Yep.
He would definitely not be my first baseman. You know who that is.
Yes.
He definitely wouldn't have cracked my outfield without a doubt. And I highly, highly doubt that I would have put him at third base. But, you know, when you do a show like this,
right,
and you're talking about sports, you have to be honest and you have to tell it as it is. And I'm about to do that. And I feel as though that Pete Rose should definitely be credited for what he did. He should be recognized for what he did. It's a travesty that he never seen his name go into the Hall of Fame. It's a travesty that there's not a special vote, anything at all to get him into the Hall of Fame when you have people that maybe shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because their accomplishments didn't warrant it, or their I don't want to say attitude, but their overall being didn't warrant it when they played on the field.
Sure.
And listen, as far as Charlie Hustle, did he play hard? Yes. Did he play dirty? I'm sure that some people would say, yeah. And I don't particularly like that kind of play myself.
Right.
You know, I don't like when people try to injure other people.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's what his style of play was, you know, to try to injure people, knock the ball loose. That's not baseball to me. That's football. That's another sport.
Right.
And, you know, but should he be nobody else? That's a record that maybe nobody's ever going to beat. You know, Aaron Judge, Soto, a couple others that are in the league, maybe Vladimir Guerrero Jr., maybe they have a chance of beating the all-time home run record. But, you know, all-time hit record, man, come on, over 4,000 hits. It's only been done once, bro. And I just don't see somebody else doing it, you know, anytime soon. Not in our lifetime.
Listen, I agree. I don't think guys hit well enough to do it anymore. You can't bat 240 for a season and think you're going to get 4,200 hits for your career. He batted 303. It took him nearly 20 years.
Took him more than 20 years. He was in the league, about
24 years? You're right, 24 years.
But that's not when he but he was also a player manager too, wasn't he, for a year?
The last, I think from 83 to 86 or 84 to 86, he was a player manager. Last one, I believe, of that was ever a player manager.
Yeah.
There was a few that I know of. Frank Robinson was a player manager. I think Torrey was a player manager with the Braves and maybe the Mets, and Pete obviously there. But you know, I'm always a little. I again, as a kid growing up, I hated Pete Rose. To your point, I didn't like the way he played the game. I thought he was cocky, arrogant, the whole bit. You know, again, 4,256 hits is a lot of hits. I mean, that's just no other way to say it. That's a thank you, Frank. I thought it was with the Mets, but you got to give the guy his due. You know, when only one or two people do something in the life of baseball, Jeff, only one or two guys have 4,000 hits. That's a pretty good accomplishment, and that says something.
Who else has 4,000 hits?
Ty Cobb, I think Cobb had 4,000.
Yeah, he does have that many hits.
Hold on, he is the hit king. Hold on, Ty Cobb. Let me see. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I believe, 4,189 hits.
Wow. Okay, and Ty Cobb was playing in what, like 1906 and shit, like 1911.
Ty Cobb played. I'm looking for his 1905 through 1928. Again, 24 years of baseball for Ty Cobb.
Yeah, but you know what? I would question. I mean, nobody else has, but I would say, like, how accurate were the records there?
It's a great question. You know, I mean, that's It's a different time. You're taking probably a lot of stuff for what people told you. So I don't know. I don't know how.
Might have been an error. Could have been put down as a hit, and
100%. Yeah, I was gonna remember. I mean, if you hit the ball if you hit a fly ball and it bounced and went over the fence, nowadays or in the modern era, that's a ground rule double. Back then, it was a home run.
Yeah.
So baseball is obviously different. So I get your point. But two guys in the history of the game have 4,000 hits. So To
Who's
me,
third on that list, Tom? Do you have that list?
I can tell you in 1 second. Baseball.
That may be one of the only lists where there's a
Uh,
lot of old timers at the top of that list. With not many newbies, so to speak, like people from the modern era getting up that high.
Okay, here you go. Career hit leaders. Wow. Okay, so, so let's say in the top 10. I'll just do a top 10. I'll give you. We'll do more, but in the top 10, how many modern day baseball players would you say? I would say, guys, we'll say modern day is what? 1970 forward?
Well, how about that? I would say from the end of World War II.
Okay, so from the 40, so from 45,
Mid-40s,
46.
early 50s.
Okay, so how many modern day players would you say are in the top 10?
I'm going to say 3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the top 10 are 1945 or later.
1945 or later?
Yes, 1945 or current.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so top 10 is Pete Rose at 4,256, Ty Cobb 4,189. Hank Aaron, I didn't know that Hank Aaron was number 3 at 3,771 hits.
But he's another one that played like 25, 26 years.
Yes. Stan Musial, 3,600. Tris Speaker, 3,500. Modern day, Derek Jeter at number 6, 3,400.
Derek Jeter, really?
Number 6 all time.
Wow.
Honus Wagner, 3,400. Carl Yastrzemski, 3,400 and change. Albert Pujols, 3,300 and change. And Paul Molitor at 3,300 and change.
Let me, real quick, do you see Rod Carew's name up there?
Yeah, let's see. Rod Carew. Yes, Rod Carew. You want to guess where he is roughly, or do you want me to tell you?
You found him kind of quick, so I'm going to say he's within the top 25.
Close, number 27 at 3,000.
No way.
Yes.
He's that low on the list?
At 3,053 hits.
Oh, so he barely cracked 3,000 hits.
Well, again, he's one of those guys. There's a few guys. Roberto Clemente passed away with 3,000 hits exactly.
Yeah, but that's it. He got killed in a plane crash.
Al Kaline had 3,007. Wade Boggs 3,010. Rafael Palmeiro 3,020. Lou Brock 3,023. So there's a few guys that are right there. A couple of guys just fell short. Sam Rice. I don't know who Sam Rice is.
You know what? The reason I asked and brought up Rod Carew is because for every year he was in there for the batting average title. Yes. And you're not going to get that by having 180 hits a year. You know what I mean? I know he was hitting the ball.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't play long enough. I'm not really sure.
I don't know how many years he played, but
I don't know, Tom. I can look that up. But so the top 10 is pretty diverse. You go back to the Honus Wagners, Ty Cobb days, Tris Speaker. You got some middle ground guys with Musial and Hank Aaron, and a little bit more modern era with Carl Yastrzemski and Paul Molitor. And then you got some newer day guys in the 2000, late 90s and 2000s with Pujols and Derek Jeter. So the top 10 is a pretty diverse list.
Yeah, I had to look up Rod Carew. Did you know he didn't crack 100 home runs?
Okay.
His lifetime batting average was 328.
Mm-hmm.
And and he played for 19 years. And he was with Minnesota for 12, and then he went over to California, the Angels in 79, and he played till 1985.
Wow.
And batting average, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. He was he led the league in batting average. And right now we're doing a show. I can't spend too much time on that. And also, did you know that he was not American?
I did not know that.
He was born, I believe it said Panama.
Okay.
I remember that. I remember seeing that before.
So I'm trying to see modern day players. So we're talking about you made a good point. That might be a record that's never broken, and I would agree with it. The current players that I can find. So let's see. I'm trying to see, is there a current player today? I think it's, where is it? I think I saw his name on here. Paul Goldschmidt, who is still playing with the Cardinals, has 2,056 hits, and Paul Goldschmidt is at the latter part of his career.
Yeah, he's got to be closing in his late 30s, early 40s, right? Or
Now, the youngest guys that, from what I see, the active players with 1,800 or more hits is Manny Machado at 1,900 and Nolan Arenado at 1,826. So
what
these
about
guys,
Bryce Young?
Bryce Young?
Bryce Harper.
Okay, I don't think he's even got. Let's see. Hold on a second. Go back to this. So Bryce Harper.
He's not even on the fucking list. Wow.
No. Bryce Harper has currently 13 years. So at the end of this season, 1,600 hits.
So he's a little bit more than halfway there.
He's 13 years in. So if he doubled his number, he'd be 3,200 when he was done. And we all know that they don't age real well. He's had a lot of injuries. So most people consider Mike Trout one of the best players of all time. Mike Trout right now, having played 14 years in the league, Mike Trout has 1,648 hits.
That's somebody that's been through the injury wheel, man.
Correct. And, if you go back, this year he played 29 games. Last year he played 82 games. The year before, 119. The year before that, 36. The year before that, 53. So
yeah, there's somebody whose playing time was robbed due to injuries. I mean, I got to say that.
Oh yeah, but that reflects. But listen, is he a Hall of Famer? He's probably going to get there. His first, he's got one. He's got multiple MVPs. Again, one of the best players in the game. But just to show you, go back to your point, 4,200 hits for a career is going to be nearly impossible for most of these guys to get there. So, I want to check one guy. This kid Soto is a guy that I would watch because he's an amazing, amazing player. And he's young. So let me see. Juan Soto right now, he's 25 years old. He's in his 7th year. He has 934 hits.
Yeah, but
at 25 years old.
To get 4,200 hits over the course of 24 years, you would have to average 175 hits a year.
Let's see.
That's a lot of hits.
He's averaging currently 162 hits a year.
So he's a little off the pace.
Little. Right. Now, he had 1 year. COVID year was only 47 games. Otherwise, he's basically playing 150 to 162 games a year.
That's a pace. Dude, once they get past a certain age, that they're not going to – he ain't going to let himself play that many games. His team ain't going to let him play that many games. Because if they're not producing the high numbers that they need to produce, they go somewhere else.
I don't. Yeah. You're right, Frankie. No, he'd be one guy that if you were going to ask me, is there a guy who's going to challenge to get to the mid 3,000s? I like this kid Soto. He's got a great bat. He's young. If he stays healthy, obviously, Jeter got 3,400 hits. Jeter played almost every game. He had one a season or two that he had missed some time, but Jeter played all the time. He averaged 200 hits a year for about 6 or 7 years. Different type of player.
Yeah, that's big right there. You get 200 hits for 5 years. That's 1,000 hits. You need to do that for 7, 8 years, I would think, maybe more.
Let me see how many 200 hit seasons Derek Jeter had. Let me see. I think it was a bunch in a row. So he had 1, 2, 3 in a row. He had 203, 219, 201, then 191, 191. Then he had another streak of 202, 214, 206, 179, 212, 179, 162, 216. So he hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of 200 plus hits. It's not bad.
How many years did he play?
20 years.
20 years. So he was actually on a better pace than Rose was.
Yeah, he averaged for 200 for 162 game season, he averaged 204 hits a season.
Yeah, so he probably would have eclipsed Pete Rose if he played the same amount of time. Because Pete Rose, what did we say, played an additional 4 years?
Correct.
Something like that.
Yeah, so it would have been close. So think about Derek Jeter got 3,400, nearly 3,500 hits. If he had gotten another 4 years, there's a chance, he could have did. Now he had his age 39. He had one season. He played 17 games, but I mean, this is what it's all about, Jeff. 157, 159, 149, 158, 148, 150, 157, 119. I hurt his shoulder that year. 154, 159, 154, 156, 150, 153, 157, 131, 159, 17 games, and 145. That's a lot of games. That's how, if you're going to break records like that, that's what you need to do is play every day.
Well, of course, but you want to know something? Now add up all of those that he missed when he hit 150, 156. Add those all up.
Yeah.
Not the injury years. Don't add up the injury years, but add all those games that he missed up. That's well over 100 games, I would at least have to think, right?
5, 8. I can tell you 5, 8, 19, 23, 33, 33, 45, 45 and 12, 57, 62. Now, I won't take the injury year, right? So 52, 60, 63, 70, 76, 70, 76, 88. Yeah, 88, 95, 100, and 3. You're right. So 103 on at 15, 118 games.
118 games. Now, if you factor in the 2 years that he was injured, now you're talking almost 160 games.
You're talking probably more than that because he missed his 39th year. He only played 17 games 1 year, so he missed basically equivalent of almost 2 seasons.
Yeah, so that figure a factor in on an average of another 400 hits, that would have been about 3,800 hits, maybe enough to give him the incentive to play another couple years to try to go after that record.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he could have hung around and probably played another year or two. But again, even in his last year, he had 149 hits, which is not terrible for a 40-year-old shortstop.
It's not terrible, but let me ask you something. As Tommy Florio,
yeah,
if you were playing a professional sport, and you had a record within reach, a nice record, not like I got the most bunts in a season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you stand a chance of tying or eclipsing a decent record. All right. Now, if he had gotten those 2 years, if he had played, which was almost impossible to play 162 straight.
Yeah.
Only Lou Gehrig and Cal Ripken did something like that. You don't think you would have stayed another year or two if you were in the high 3,000s?
Yeah, I would say
play another 2 years.
Yeah.
See where I stand after that, and I may have to try to go for this.
Yeah, I would say that if he was at 37, 38 at age 40, you got to kind of consider staying around and trying to break that record. I mean,
I would think I would sign a 2-year contract, see how I feel after that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you're at that point, if you're 2 more years in and you're close to 4,000 hits, you got to stick around and get the last 300 hits. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you were somewhat of a platoon player for a while, that you like every third game you take off or whatever, something, you figure it out, but you try to get there.
Yeah, I think being 40 years old, having a pretty decent season, not a great season, and being 800 hits away at that point, you kind of go, I ain't got a shot at it. So, there was no way he was going to play 4 more years, averaging 200 hits to be close to that record. So, but again, going back to the Pete Rose, 4,000 hits. This Pete, again, I've been a big proponent that Pete Rose deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. 4,000 hits. The guy is I think a 2-time MVP or 3-time, I think a 2-time MVP. Rookie of the year, 3 World Series to his credit, 2 with the Reds and 1 with the Phillies, 2-time Gold Glover, 3-time batting title champ. Listen, the guy was a jerk. He bet on baseball. It's a sin, and I got it. But in light of what baseball's done on sports in general, with promoting gambling and betting on sports, Pete Rose deserves to be in now. They did it, Jeff. If they do, this was the biggest FU. They never wanted to give him the opportunity to show up at the Hall of Fame. He may get in now. There may be enough of an uprising to get him in. He should never have been allowed back in baseball to be managed or coach. But as a great player, he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, I told this to Joey. I texted him and say, Joe, if you were picking a top 20 team all time, would Pete Rose make your list? And the answer to me was, if I did it based on players I saw, he could possibly make the list. If I went all time, he would never make my list.
It's hard to put him on either list for me, all time and players I saw, because one, I'm jaded by his playing style. I did not like his playing style.
Okay.
I didn't like the way that he carried himself. I mean, yeah, but you also have to separate his accomplishments from the person.
Right. So you can see him in the Hall of Fame, but you wouldn't put him on your top. He wouldn't make your squad.
Let's put it this way. If I was to pick an all-time team, there's a chance that he could be on the team. But I can tell you this much: he would definitely not be a starter.
Well, let's put it this way. We have done lists on our show where we've picked starting lineups, top baseball plays. We've done all that, and he's never made either one of our lists. Now,
no, he hasn't. But let me ask you something. How do you leave out? I'm going to ask you this question, okay? How do you leave out a player like Lou Gehrig? How do you leave out a player like Babe Ruth?
Yeah.
How do you leave out a player? I'm trying to think of players that we had on our team.
Yeah, Mike Schmidt was our third baseman. Yeah,
like Pete Rose didn't have that much in the way of power numbers, if any power numbers at all.
160 homers for his career.
160 homers. Guys are doing that now in 3-4 seasons.
Yeah. Again, I think Pete was an average fielder. I know he won a couple of Gold Gloves. He played different positions. He was an all-star, I think, at 5 different positions. So I think that you could call him a great hitter. I don't know if I call him a great player, though. You know what I mean?
He did everything except pitch and catch.
Pretty much. I just would not put him. I can't get him inside my top 20. I told Joey that I'd like to sit down one day and put together a list and see where he would fall. But I would think it would be somewhere between 25 and 50. I don't hold him in high. I don't think he was a good enough fielder. To your point, I didn't like all the way he played the game. I think it was self promoting. I'm not a big fan of that. The closest guy I ever liked that was a great self promoter was Ricky Henderson. But again, as far as hitting goes, when two people who've played a sport that's gone on for 100 and something years, only two people reach a certain level, you kind of got to go, all right, the guy's a great hitter. So I think he was a great hitter. Maybe a great singles hitter. I don't know. Is he a great hitter if the guy couldn't crack 200 homers in 24 seasons?
Well, listen, you're talking about a different era of baseball.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Where somebody would lead the league in home runs with somewhere between 25 to 35 home runs.
Nettles in, I think, 76 or 77 won the home run title with 32 home runs.
Yeah, I believe Reggie won it one year with 27, and he was considered a power hitter, a fearsome power hitter at that.
That's very true.
Not Babe Ruth, I'm sorry. Hank Aaron, if you look at his home run average, the average wasn't going to scare anybody.
Never cracked 50 homers.
Never cracked 50 homers, but I also believe that his average was like 24 homers a year. It was really low, man. It wasn't as what you think it is.
Oh, let me see. Hold on a second. Let me see. I can look it up for you. I got Baseball Reference opened up on the screen here. We're talking Jeff and Tom talking a little baseball for a little while longer. I want to get to the Jets very soon. Let's see. For 162 games, he averaged No, I'm sorry. You're a little off on it. He averaged 37 homers a year for his career. Yeah, he had 44, 30, 39, 40, 34, 45, 44, 24, 32, 44, 39, 29, 44, 38, 47, 34, 40, 20, 12, and 10. So really his last 3 years.
I thought he was in the high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah, 30. I would have said the same as you. I would have thought low 30s. But he's 37, which is, when you think of the all-time home run king, if that's who we want to say is the home run king, you would think he would have averaged, but he played 23 years and he was a steady average of 37. I bet you a lot of guys don't average that many home runs for their career. And Jeff, to your point, especially in that era where guys didn't hit a lot of home runs. It's 76.
And Frankie just drew up that Ty Cobb only hit 133 home runs. You got to remember, look at the era that Ty Cobb was playing in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That ball looked like it weighed about 5 pounds and was made of loose thread.
The year that Ruth hit 60 homers, there were entire teams that didn't hit 60 homers.
I think some teams were like hitting 13 home runs.
Yeah, it just wasn't prevalent. So when you tell me that Ty Cobb didn't hit a lot of homers, it doesn't bother me. Pete Rose, 106, he's basically averaging less than 8 home runs a season. I mean, to me, that's sub where you should be.
Well, that was, when most of the league was averaging, something like that at best. Ty Cobb, most of the times guys that hit for high averages like that are usually not power hitters for the most part.
Yeah.
Because they're spraying the field with hits, doubles, homers, not homers, singles, triples.
I'm just curious, before we switch out of this into football, I want to just take a look at something. So think about this.
I got to get something off a chart. I'll be right back.
Lou Gehrig averaged 37 homers a year for his career, but he only played 17 years. If he had played another 7 years, averaging that amount of homers, we could be talking about a different home run king. So that's interesting, Jeff.
Listen, I'm not a baseball guy, but I will always say that to me, Lou Gehrig, had a lot of attributes that I would want to see him have a career like that, to see where he would have stood all time. And listen, the guy just put up phenomenal numbers. What did Babe Ruth average?
46 homers a year.
46 homers a year?
Yep. He played a couple years less than he played 22 instead of 24. Had he played 2 more years at that average, he would have still be the home run king. He got beat by about 40 homers. So 1 more average year for him, and he would still be the home run king today.
Who?
Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, yeah, he popped closer to 800.
Yeah, again, yeah.
I think he had 70. I think he had 715 or something like that.
Was
that Hank Aaron?
No, Aaron had 755. Ruth ended with 714.
714, 715, something like that.
Yeah, he played less games, less years. So again, that to me is an amazing feat right there. When you start talking about a guy averaged 46 home runs in that era when nobody was hitting home runs. I mean 11, 29, 54, 59, 35, 41, 46, 25, 47, 60, 54, 46, 49, 46, 41, 34, and then finally at 22 and 6 his last year. So, I mean, amazing. That's just amazing. 46, that's incredible. 46 average for the career. But again, I'm not going to downplay. I'm not trying to disparage Pete Rose. To me, I'm not a fan of Pete Rose. I hated those red teams of those era. Hated him as a player. But Jeff, the guy should get the credit that he's due. He should be in the Hall of Fame. You could put on there, hey, 4,200 hits leader, blah 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 blah. Bet on baseball, was banned from the game. You could put all that there. People should learn about it. But to me, as a player, Pete Rose had 4,256 hits. He belongs in the Hall of Fame.
You know what? If they wanted to hurt him,
yeah,
and everything else, they could have put him in the Hall of Fame,
Yep.
but never put his likeness in
Oh,
the Hall of Fame.
interesting. Okay.
You could have put him. You could have put in a picture of his uniform. You could have put whatever accomplishments he had in Major League Baseball, whatever records he might have held in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
But never once will your likeness ever be within Major League Baseball.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think the Major League Baseball was never going to let him get in the Hall of Fame and be able to say Hall of Famer Pete Rose. They didn't want to put his name on it. I think there will be some talk in the near future about putting him in the Hall of Fame now that he's dead and he can't enjoy it. And I think that's the stick it to you for Pete Rose. I think that he'll never ever be able to hear Pete Rose Hall of Famer. So
well now he can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think now that's the big FU to him. I think had he confessed and said, "Hey, all right, I screwed up. I'm gonna go get some help," I think that he would not have been allowed to manage again. I think that he would have eventually got into the Hall of Fame after that. But his arrogance and denying and threatening, I think, pissed enough people off that they would not allow him to have the satisfaction of being Pete Rose Hall of Famer. So
listen, if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, they did reinstate him. He came back into baseball and he said something stupid, if I remember right. And then they once again banned him for forever. So
yeah, I know he had put in for it. I don't know if he ever got reinstated.
Well, he wasn't totally reinstated. He was on his way to being reinstated. Then he said something about gambling on baseball, and they dropped him again. So they did start to look upon him a little bit more favorably. And I forget exactly what the situation was, but I remember when it happened. And it was like, well, why didn't you just keep your fucking mouth shut? Why did you say that? Why would you do that?
It's possible. I won't do that. I'll have to look that up later. But yeah, again, passing of Pete Rose, 83 years old. Our condolences go out to his family. Again, I had a good friend who actually, according to him, and he was one of those guys who wasn't a liar, actually owns the Pete Rose whole 4,200 and something hit ball. He bought it from Pete years ago, and he kind of took it as an investment, and I guess that ball is probably worth double what it was a couple days ago.
Yeah, I would say.
So, but again, condolences to the family, and Pete Rose will be a guy who will be talked about for a very long time because of what he accomplished on the field and the dumb things he did off of it. So that's it. I just wanted to make sure we got it in there. I do want to get to the Jets and the Giants before we end the show at 9 o'clock. So, guys, stick around. We got another half hour. Jeff and I are here every Thursday night from 7 to 9. Sometimes we go a little after, whatever. Again, one more time, make sure you guys, November 5th, do your homework. Pay attention to what's going on in the world today with all the stuff that's going on, and vote your conscience. Do the right thing, but vote. But make sure you vote. Whatever way you go, I don't care. Not my business to talk you into it, even though I want to talk you into it. But make sure you vote. It's important. But if you're going to vote, do your homework. It's important. Know the situation. Know what everybody stands for. Know why they call him Tampon Tim and Comrade Kamala. It's funny names, but know why these things are out there and know who JD Vance is and all that other stuff. So November 5th coming around the corner. In the meantime, and that means we'll be into the holiday season. So that's always fun here. But anyway, Jeff, let's talk about your beloved New York Jets. A very disappointing game Sunday. I don't know if you got to see much of it. I know you're constantly moving with the bands and this and that. But I got to watch a good piece of the game. And I'll say this is going to be my early take on it. When we talked about it this summer and Aaron Rodgers missing the mandatory minicamp, most people out there said, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's a veteran. What's the difference? Well, here's the difference that I tell you. And I said, if they win games, nobody's going to care. But I'm going to be the dick and say, Saleh comes out. You have 15 offsides penalties, 13 accepted. Garrett Wilson, I think he just showed up on the side of a milk carton. They can't get Garrett Wilson the ball. Jeff, to me, Aaron Rodgers made a big mistake not being around for that mini camp. And this Jet team does not look like it's on the same page right now.
All right, but now let me, well, we got to look at both sides of this without a doubt. I got to say this much, okay? As of right now, Aaron Rodgers is 17th in the league with 849 yards passing.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers has more yards so far this year than Justin Fields, David Carr, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love, Herbert, and well, I'm not going to go with Tagliavola because he's hurt.
Yeah.
And well, that's about the main ones right there. Now, it's hard, without a doubt, it's hard to defend something like that. And I would look retarded defending something like that. But there's a lot of things to keep in mind here and a lot of things that people aren't saying. This is a man that's over 40 years old. This is a man that hasn't played football in more than 2 years. This is a man that still, at his current rate of play, is still going to be a better quarterback than the Jets have had in the last, I'd say, 10 to 15 years. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that he's going to set records, that he's going to take them to the playoffs, going to go to the Super Bowl. None of that. It's also week 4 in the NFL, and there's a lot of players that are not playing such as they should be playing. Sam Darnold, in an alternate universe, is one of the leaders in the league. Like, where the fuck did that come about? Geno Smith is leading the league in yardage.
Yeah.
Okay. So you tell me, did the guy have a bad game or is his career over? And are people going to be all over him like white on rice for whatever he does wrong? So that, well, listen, he played terrible. Yeah, but it's week 4. And I'm sure that if we look back in his career, he had games just as bad as that. You got to remember something, and I know Frankie is going to go against what everything I say here. I hope that maybe the Mets are on and he's not paying attention. Okay? The Jets played against the Broncos, and one team scored 10 points, one team scored 9 points. Neither team was moving the ball in those weather conditions. And not that it was the worst of conditions, don't get me wrong, but it was wet, it was cold, it was nasty. It was like nobody wanted to be there in that game, playing that game that day.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's see, because there's a lot of fucking quarterbacks that after week 4 are not where they're supposed to be. Did you think that Herbert, who we had on our fantasy team a few years ago, would be that far down the list?
No.
You know what I mean? So I would say now this is when the league is starting. These guys have had enough time to play. Let's see what happens as the year progresses. If he continues to go, backwards or he don't move forwards, then that's on him. But, there's a lot of things. Well, difference with 5 sacks and no sacks, yeah, but it doesn't matter. The Denver Broncos only scored 1 more point than the Jets. 1 point. They didn't win 30-3. They won 10-9. And if they didn't score that touchdown, they would have lost 9-3. If that Jet kicker didn't kick and make them didn't miss that kick, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. We would have said, yeah, it was a sloppy game, but it is what it is. It was a bad showing by both teams, to be honest with you, I felt.
Listen, it was a terrible football game. But if you ask me what team was going to play like that before the game started, I would have told you the Broncos. That's
what you would like to think, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's obvious that listen, I'll be around it. There's obvious that there's a major problem someplace. I don't know what it is. Okay. Yeah. He's not throwing the ball to Garrett Wilson, who was looking really a lot better last year with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay. So he should be fucking playing a lot better with Aaron Rodgers.
Correct. Now, I don't know if they're not on the same page, and that goes back to my comment about the mandatory camp. Again, is it earth-shattering that a 40-year-old, soon-to-be Hall of Fame quarterback missed 3 practices in the middle of June or July? It's not. But when the game's over, your head coach comes out and says, we had a problem with Aaron's cadence. The cadence was throwing off the offensive line. We can't get the cadence down, blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers comes back and rightfully says, it ain't the cadence. We need to hold people accountable for going off sides. Think about it. 15 offsides penalties in a game, 13 accepted. And then it's a big controversy. And then the head coach, who, again, I think needs to get fired, comes out the next day and says, somebody asked him about the cadence. Did you fix it? He's like, the cadence wasn't a problem. You guys just make this stuff up. And somebody needed to say, Coach, you said it. You came out and said it was the cadence. Now it's not the cadence. Robert Saleh is a terrible coach. Guys, face it. He's picked a terrible staff. The offense is terrible. It's not. Let's put it this way. We all. Everybody out there puts down.
To say Robert Saleh is a terrible coach and he should be fired.
Yes,
means that Brian Dable should be put in front of a firing squad.
No, I disagree.
Without a doubt. What? No. Because they're the same team.
No.
No.
Brian Dable doesn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Brian Dable made the playoffs last year with an inferior team.
Brian, no, it was the year before that he has. And
whatever. 2 years ago. No, it was last year.
Do you have that? What's his face? Rodgers had to have Hackett.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Coordinator.
That's his coordinator. You have to take responsibility.
Which that shouldn't have happened, but you're giving too much power to the quarterback.
I agree, but you're still the head coach, and his X's and O's.
It's not him that did that. It was the organization that allowed that.
I got it, but you're still the head coach. And again, let's put it this way, Jeff. If this team goes 9-8 and either makes the playoff and gets bounced out, or doesn't make the playoff, is Robert Saleh making it to next year?
Yeah.
That would be depressing if I was a Jet fan, because just the way he can't talk. When Rodgers,
I couldn't care less if he can't talk. All right, I want to see what he could do with an offensive line and a decent quarterback. Every year that the man has been a team, the coach of that team, he's had a quarterback that sucks. Okay, and no offensive line. That's crazy, bro. Really? You're fucking crazy. Because how are they supposed to win a game with Zach Wilson as quarterback?
Listen, I'm not. And
that offensive line that they had. Not that our offensive line is that much better this year.
I didn't say he should have been fired last year. I said to you though.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that he has to go. He has to have at least one shot.
Well, okay. So I'm saying this: you have a Hall of Fame coach. You got a what most people consider a top 10 wide receiver, right? You got a top 5 defense, supposedly. You go out there this year and you barely get past 500, make the playoffs, lose a game, first game, or don't make the playoffs. You've had your chance now. So to me, if you want to tell me he deserved this year with Rodgers, I won't argue it. Okay, they drafted a number 1 kid on the offensive line. They went out in the free agency, got 2 veteran guys for the tackle spots. This team should not have had the game they had this weekend. Now, if you bounce back this week and you go,
in other words, what are you telling me, that this team is a team that should go undefeated?
No, no.
No team in the league is allowed to have a bad game. Patrick Mahomes has had bad games. Josh Allen just had a horrible game.
But Jeff, you're trying to listen to me. How is the Minnesota Vikings?
This is what I'm trying to say.
But how does the Minnesota Vikings winning with Sam Darnold as a quarterback?
Well, I don't know. God must have waved his hand.
I'm just saying.
I have no idea.
At some point, you got to stop saying, "Well, Robert Saleh hasn't had." You guys.
No, but you tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm
lying.
Wait,
time out.
Tell me I'm lying. I'm asking you to tell me I'm lying.
Tell me one thing. You tell me that Brian Dable should be fired, right?
Hold on, Frank. Nobody gives a fuck about the Broncos. We're not even talking about it.
You tell me that Dable should be fired. Okay, that's your opinion, no problem. You tell me that Danny
He's
Dimes
not developing your quarterback.
Wait, if you tell me that Danny Dimes is a terrible quarterback, I got you. Okay, no problem. The Giants have no offensive line. Yet Brian Dable took that team with a terrible quarterback, according to you, a terrible offensive line, and he went to the playoffs and won a game. All I'm saying is, at what point do we stop making excuses for Robert Saleh and say, "Hey, coach,
you are the only one that I know of."
See you, Frankie.
That continues to say that the Giants should keep Daniel Jones. Last year, the Giants tried to trade.
That has nothing to do with that. You're going off the topic. I said was
No,
you
no,
said
no. I'm not going to. You're talking about Brian Dable and the Giants winning a playoff game.
yeah.
I'm telling you that you're the only one that sticks up for Daniel Jones that should stay on the Giants.
I'm not that's not the conversation. The conversation is you said
but I'm just bringing up a point.
No, I got
this
you.
is a conversation.
But I got you. But what my question to you was if Salah doesn't make the playoffs, or
if he doesn't make the playoffs, he deserves to be fired. Yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm saying, and then your answer to me was, well, then Brian Dable should be fired. And I said, no. Brian Dable took, according to what everybody else says, especially guys like you and Frankie say, he took a team with no offensive line, no quarterback, and went to the playoffs, beat the number 1 seed on the road. Dable's at least earned a couple more years after that. Now, not much, but he definitely has earned it. I'm saying is Robert Saleh's entering his 5th year here or 6th year. At some point, we got to go, hey, coach, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback. You got one of the top receivers in the league.
Here's the thing that
you're still not any good.
Here's the thing that you're not, once again, that you're not adding into the conversation.
Is what?
You have a 40-something-year-old future Hall of Fame quarterback who's in the twilight of his career. He's not 30-something. He's 40-something.
Right.
Second, he hasn't played in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a little rust. Third, week 4. It's week 4 of the season. If we're having the same conversation at week 12 or 13, that's a different story.
But Jeff, you're not 3-0 and then losing game 4 badly. You're 1-2, and that you're 2-1, and now you're 2-2 after week 4 with not a bad showing. And here's the problem, Jeff. It's not even losing the game that bothers me. It's not teams lose. You're 100% right. The San Francisco 49ers are 2-2. I thought they might go to Super Bowl. I that's not the part that bothers me. The part that bothers me for Robert Saleh and the Jets is you're at week 4. Your star quarterback, who is rusty and all that stuff, can't find his number 1 receiver more than a couple times in a game. Your offensive line goes offsides 15 times, not 5 times, not 6 times, not 10 times, goes offsides 15 times. You come out as the head coach and say it was the cadence. The next day you're challenged on it. You say it wasn't the cadence, and you people make it up. All I'm saying is at some point, and again, I didn't say Robert Saleh deserved to be fired today. What I said was at some point, as a Jet fan or as a football fan, people have to hold this guy's feet to the fire and say, hey, dude, you're running out of excuses, and it's time to win. You can't have many more performances like this.
Listen. You on some levels, I agree with you. Okay. Once again, he had no quarterback for the first 4 or 5 years, whatever it was.
Okay.
That he was the head coach of the team.
Agreed.
2, his offensive line was awful for the first 4 or 5 years that he was the head coach of the team. 3, this is the first year that he has somewhat of a decent quarterback who's now 40-something years old. Once Tom Brady ruined the league by playing till 45,
right?
And all these other guys, well, they could play. Mm-hmm. You were 40. Do you want to get fucking nailed every other fucking play on the field? I know I wouldn't.
No.
Okay. Second of all, he has a renowned bad offensive coordinator. I don't know if this guy has naked pictures of him someplace with a chandelier on his head. I don't know. That there's a reason why he has to drag him everywhere. Maybe he gets some good drugs. I don't know. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason why he wants that guy there. And I would say that Aaron Rodgers knows football. I'm sure you would agree to that.
I would agree. Sure.
Why is it? What is the allure of having this guy Hackett there with you? What is he adding to football for you as a future Hall of Fame quarterback that you need to have him?
Right, but that takes away the excuse. You can't say that the offensive coordinator is the problem.
No, Tom, it doesn't take away an excuse because if anything, it's not giving an excuse, it's giving a reason.
Correct.
Okay. You're taking a sub. You're not. I don't even know the phrase to use. You don't have a sterling offensive coordinator.
No, but it takes.
And for whatever reason, maybe this Rodgers is allowed to draw up his own plays. Yeah. And he'll be like, well, this is what you're going to call. Who the fuck knows? But is it working? Right now, after 2 games, it's 500. We don't know. 4 games, it's 500. We don't know. The thing that gets me is that everybody said it. You said it. A lot of people said it. The Jets have Super Bowl aspirations.
Absolutely.
I said, until they do it, they didn't do it. They don't have it.
I agree
with
you.
the Jets are going to win the division. I said it's the Jets. Go slow, be careful. Okay, best team in the AFC. It's going to be the Chiefs and the Jets in the AFC Championship game. Slow down there, little buckaroo. It's too early for that. Okay, remember how many times did I say that?
No, I agree, but it's not you. It's not just people like myself who thought the Jets were going to. Here's the point: if I'm not a Jet fan, but I look at it like, if not this year, then when? You have what you consider.
There's been years. The Browns haven't done anything. The fucking Lions haven't done anything.
I agree.
There's a couple other teams that haven't won anything. The Jets just happen to be one of them.
I agree with you, but you had Jet players saying, "Hey, this is our time. This is our chance. We got the quarterback. We got the defense. This is our." So this isn't fans putting these expectations. People like yourself, Carmine. There's a lot of fans who go, "Whoa, slow it down a little bit here." We've been fans for too long. I'm not sure. I'm not disagreeing, but when you have players coming out saying, we have, we're ready. This is our year. We got Aaron. Our defense is as good as the 85 Bears. They compared themselves to the 85 Bears. I get it, but at that point, you're loading up the expectations. You come out. The Jets haven't had one game this year where you go, that's a really good team. They won 2 games, but nobody's going, that's a really good team. They're like, all right, they're working.
You're right, but there's a lot of teams that have played games so far this year that haven't done anything that's going to make you say that, wow. And one of those teams might just win the Super Bowl.
Correct. And again, I didn't come out of here saying the Jets aren't going to win the Super Bowl. I didn't come out and say Saleh should be fired. My question was, first thing was, the reason the Jets went out and got Aaron Rodgers was to not have games like they had the other day. You can have a bad loss, Jeff, to anybody. And it could be, hey, it was a trap game. They're ready to go to play Minnesota in London. We got the Broncos, no big deal. Everybody loses a trap game. It happens to the best teams in the league. It's happened to everybody.
Yes, it does.
But my point was, you can't play to that level with and say now confidently we have aspirations. Not saying you can't change it. All I said was, okay, if this continues and this team goes 9-8, barely makes the playoffs, loses game one.
If that team goes 9-8 and makes the playoffs, nobody will even talk about this game again. If that team goes 12-4, 13-4, somehow, some way, and gets bumped out of the playoffs, they'll say that's where it first started, the problems. But let me ask you this.
Sure.
I'm going to give you a few teams just to show you, all right? The Jets, they're not playing up to what the hype was for the Jets, okay?
Correct.
Miami, not nearly playing what the hype was for them, but they got injuries, so that they get a pass.
A little bit,
Cleveland and Cincinnati, both 1-3, not the teams that people were expecting.
I thought Cincinnati was going to Super Bowl this year. I haven't picked the Super Bowl.
Still plenty of time.
Sure.
Jacksonville, people have been talking about Jacksonville since they beat New England in the playoffs. They suck.
Yeah.
I think they just perennially going to suck. You got the Chargers were supposed to be better this year. They're 2-2. Not much going on there. Denver 2-2, but listen, it's early for them. They got a rookie quarterback. Washington 3-1, best team in the division so far. Right? Minnesota 4-0. Are you fucking kidding me? Where's Jordan Love? He's 2-2 up in Green Bay. Did anybody see that coming? NFC South. All right, you got Atlanta 2-2. The rest of the division, it is what it is, except for Tampa Bay 3-1. But now the big surprise is the Rams 1-3. This was a team that people were saying almost guaranteed them a Super Bowl spot.
I agree.
Did you see Seattle at 3-1 this year, or San Francisco at 2-2?
Nope.
No. So is the league sorting itself out right now at this point in time? I would say, yeah. I think that just proves that the league is not right now at this point in time. I say come back in 4 games, see where all of these teams stand, including the Jets. They may get worse, they may not. But I also feel that Robert Saleh should be given an entire year with what he needed, a real team and better players, and see where he stands. Who put the Jets defense together? It was him and Joe Douglas.
Sure.
Okay, so he came in, once again, another Jet coach, defensive guru. Okay, so what did he do? He built a pretty good defense. Nobody said that he was going to build a good offense. And the one thing I will say that always made me a little nervous, he's a player's coach, just like Rex. Okay, I don't think it's a good mix. I don't like it. I don't like that. I'll admit I don't like.
I'm with you. Okay? Same. I'm with you.
But but until he goes the whole year, and let's see where he goes. Aaron Rodgers, whether he played in Green Bay, the Jets, wherever, he's 40-something years old. He's 40. He's a 40-something-year-old man playing in a game with a bunch of 25-year-olds, and where some people are considered old at 25 in the NFL, and you know that.
Oh no, listen, I'm with you. I never came out and said that Robert Saleh got fired when he walked off the field the other day. That was not my case.
No, I didn't say that you did say that.
Yeah. So to me, though, like I said, I didn't expect to see games like this with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And I certainly didn't expect them to have the breakdowns that they have. And the fact that at this point, I'm not sure that Aaron Rodgers could pick Garrett Wilson out of a lineup with his jersey on. So
it's hard to discount that and say otherwise. I got
to me,
Bryce Hall. Yeah, Bryce Hall did nothing the other day on the ground.
4 yards rushing.
Okay. So but nobody says anything. I understand that Bo Nix is a rookie. I understand that he played in his 4th NFL game. Nobody said that the Jets held him to -7 yards passing in the first half. That's something that very few people have mentioned this week. But they just, of course, looked at Robert Saleh and the Jets offense. But, the defense gave up 10 points. Nobody says that.
No, but again, but here's the thing, Jeff. That's what they're supposed to do. Like,
I understand that, but the defense, nobody says anything about them.
But again, because the story of the game is not the Jets' defense. The Jets didn't win that game 10-0. Or, they didn't win the game 31-0 where you'd say the offense was great, the defense held them to nothing. The defense gave up a bad touchdown. Again, the touchdown was two guys.
Honestly, I didn't see the touchdown.
Yeah, I saw it. So it was, again, the problem was another one where it was miscommunication. One corner thought the safety was covered. The safety thought the corner was covered. The guy's wide open in an end zone for an easy touchdown. Now, again, it's one touchdown in a matter of a game. You don't blow up the defense. The defense lived up to the end of the bargain. The problem becomes it's not that the Jets lost. It's the way they lost. The fact that the offense was discombobulated, that they had mental breakdowns all over the field, including defense and especially on offense. And that's a reflection of the coach. No matter how you play it, that's on the coach for not instilling the discipline that's necessary. So the coach has to take the hit. So my take is I don't believe in firing coaches in the middle of the year. I think it's a waste of time. You're not getting anything out of it. So unless the guy does something, egregious, your guy's going to finish the season. You got to live with it, and then you move on after that. All I'm saying is at some point, Robert Saleh's feet got to hit the fire. Now, this was a game that they needed to win because now you're going to London to play the Vikings. You got the Bills and somebody else. 3 tough games in a row. If you went 1-2 in that, now you're into a part of the season and you're 3-5. Is it 3-5? Is it 3? Yeah, you'll be 3 and
4.
3 and 4. Yeah, you'd be 3 and 4. It's not pretty at almost the halfway point of the season. Now, again, still plenty of time to turn it around. We talked about it. Nobody's running away with this thing. Playoffs are still in sight. All I'm saying is at some point, you got to see better play. You can lose games to better teams. You can lose teams freaky ways. But when you lose the way the Jets lost on Sunday at home to a terrible team with a rookie quarterback, the signals, the bat signals got to go up for somebody to step up here and start making plays. And there does seem to be some friction between the head coach and the star quarterback.
I got to agree with that. Yeah,
there's definitely some friction. You read about it every day. You hear about it every day.
I can already listen. Me personally, when you saw Aaron Rodgers push him off,
that was interesting. You saw that too, right?
Of course, the world saw that.
Wow,
that to me, without even knowing what was going on, the look that Rodgers gave him, that's on Rodgers. That's Rodgers.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Evidently, Salah is whether he realizes it or not, or doesn't care, doesn't know.
Right.
I don't know what the situation is, but one thing I do know is that Aaron Rodgers, I don't think has much or if any respect at all for Robert Saleh to do that, even if on a fucking sideline. Maybe you let the guy come up to you and put his hands all over you and you just stay with your hands at your side. You know what I mean? But to push him off and to give him that look, it's like, you know what? Go sit down. You get in there for this fucking series.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
I agree that was a very interesting dynamic and something that
you gotta remember one thing. Okay, you keep saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You say it, not me. You say it. Future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep.
With one Super Bowl title under your belt.
I agree with you. Yeah.
You won one Super Bowl. So that being said, I think it's Rich Gannon was the guy he has one Super Bowl.
Yep.
There's plenty of other people that have one Super Bowl.
Yep.
You just join the club with them. Okay. I understand you're a great quarterback. I understand you've done great things during the regular season. You won one Super Bowl. That's it. So please keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
I'm with you.
Not you, him.
Yeah, I think that, I listened to Boomer Esiason the other day, and he said sometimes the problem with Rodgers is he firmly believes he's the smartest guy in any room he's in. And I think that goes a long way.
You can see that look on his face.
Not listening to what other people are thinking or saying because you think you're the smartest guy in the room, and that usually makes you the dumbest guy in the room. I've always felt that you listen to everybody and you can pick and choose what you want to do, but everybody's got to stay at the table because everybody's got to eat there. And, again, it just might be a chemistry thing. I don't know. But
it's not chemistry, Tom. It's not chemistry.
Yeah, I just think that at some point they got to get on the same page. Like this week. Now, this is a tough win. This is a tough game for the Jets. You're coming off the other one right now. Minnesota is playing great football. It would not surprise me if the Jets went out there and beat them and made Sam Darnold look bad. But I have not been impressed with Sauce Gardner this year. The defense has played well, not great. I don't know if Mosley's back or not. And offensively, the Jets got to put points on the board. And if you're going to go into this game and Minnesota's going to score 20-something points, this is going to be a tough week for the Jets to win a game.
Well, you know what? This is how I see it. Okay. Minnesota is 4-0, 3-0, whatever the fuck they are, 3-1.
4-0.
4-0. Okay, with Sam Darnold as quarterback.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. That dream is about to turn into a nightmare quick. If not this week, very soon. And why not the Jets? You're flying over around the world to play in London. I say Sam Darnold has a breakdown this week, okay? The following game for the Jets, the Buffalo Bills, okay? Josh Allen is not playing like Josh Allen right now. He just had a shitty game. If it's stuck in the back of his mind, he's thinking wrong. He could have a bad game. If the Jets bring their A game, he's beatable. He's shown that he's beatable.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I don't know who the game is after that. Not
Pittsburgh.
That's another team that's overachieving right now, as far as I'm concerned.
But a really good defensive team, and you're in Pittsburgh. So not an easy game. Yes, they can't score points. Justin Fields is their quarterback. I'm with you. But that's a tough defense. And I think they're 3-1. That's that.
Yeah, they're 3-1. But this is 3 reasons to believe that these teams are beatable. Maybe not by the Jets, but overall, these are 3 teams that can be beaten.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, do you see Minnesota continuing this torrid pace and making playoffs?
No, but I didn't expect them to be 4-0 either. So do I think there's a chance that the Minnesota Vikings are going to be 17-0 this year? No, I do not. Do I think they're going to win a Super Bowl? I still don't believe they're going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're this good. But until somebody knocks them off, now you guys may be the one to do it. Your defense is good enough. And if Aaron Rodgers can get on the same page as the rest of the team, there's no reason in the world the Jets can't go out to London and come out back there with a W. So, and then once you lose, it's that little bit of doubt creeps into your head. It's maybe a different season for Minnesota. We'll see. I'm going to pick the Jets to win this week. I think they have an opportunity to win this game. I think they bounce back from a very ugly loss and they surprised it. Now, are they going to be consistent and come home and beat Buffalo and then go on the road and beat the Steelers? These are good questions, and it's going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be an interesting season, and there's still plenty of season left to go for every team in the NFL.
Absolutely.
So, right now, I know that we got to be ending soon. We didn't probably get to half the stuff that you wanted to get to, but there's a lot of teams whose seasons are going to start to change within the next couple of weeks.
Well,
some for the better, some for the worse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, usually by this point in the season, I'll say once you hit October, I think you kind of know who everybody is and what everybody is, and you've kind of just, other than a team that kind of has that one breakout season, I think this year you're not even sure. Like, I have no idea who the San Francisco 49ers are. I don't know what the Minnesota Vikings are. There's a lot of – I don't think anybody's really found who they really are yet, the bad teams or the good teams. I don't know if Cincinnati is as bad as their record is. They play like it, but I don't know. I think you're going to be closer to Halloween before you figure it out this year than closer to than we are right now. I don't have a good sense. Detroit's played pretty well. Miami's a disappointment. I didn't expect Buffalo to be this good. Buffalo, to me, I thought was going to be a terrible team, third place in that division this year, and they're as good as they've been. Will it carry on? We'll find out.
If Miami didn't, if Tua didn't get hurt, maybe things are a little different.
Maybe.
Right now, you can't fucking blame Miami for the position they're in just because of Tua getting hurt. I mean, I understand what you're saying. If he didn't get hurt, maybe life's a little different for them. But as of right now, it is what it is.
The Mets just gave up a home run. I don't know if it's a solo shot or multiple. It's at least 1-0 Milwaukee right now. I know it's the 6th or 7th inning. Again, I don't know if it's multiple home run. If it was like solo.
Just 1-0.
Okay, so it's 1-0. But what were we just talking about? So yeah, Tom, what makes you think the Jets are beating? No, Joe, I don't know. I want to pick them because I think if you're the Jets, you got to get fired up. I think, and again, I'm a big believer on, things fall apart. You have a bad day. Minnesota is not that good a team. I can't imagine it. So I think this is a week where the Jets need to play better. They got to be fired up and hungry. And I think Minnesota is just like, wow, we're really this good. I do believe that defense travels well and defense wins games. I think that the Jet defense is better than the Minnesota offense. Now, they may go out there and shit the bed and play, and Minnesota wins the game. That's why I think the Jets win the game. Doesn't mean that's why they win it, but that's why I think.
First of all, neither one of us said that we think the Jets are going to beat the Vikings. I just said personally that I don't think that the Vikings are going to keep up the pace.
Wow, I think that's back-to-back home runs in the Met game.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it's now at least 2-0.
After 4 weeks, Joe, I think that the Jets have just as good a chance of beating the Vikings than anybody in the league. And something has to stop that team. That's all there is to it.
I agree, and I think it's a team with a defense like the Jets. Now the Jets have to play like the Jets are capable or should be capable of playing. So again, you could turn the TV on 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, and it'd be close to halftime, and the Jets could be down 21-3. It wouldn't shock me either.
Listen, how about this? If Sam Darnold plays like he's capable of playing, and we've seen him play in the past, that team could end up going 4-13.
100%. There's there's nothing in this league that surprises you because I think.
No, I got to disagree with you, Tom, because the Vikings are surprising the ever-loving shit out of me. Sam Darnold playing like the second coming of Joe Montana.
And I have to tell you, they are winning because of him. A lot of times, teams win because despite the quarterback, he's made some passes, Jeff, that you go, he made a pass last week to a touchdown for Justin Jefferson. It was a back shoulder throw in the corner of the end zone. It's one of the best passes I've ever seen. And it was a really good catch, but the ball was thrown about as perfect as you could throw a football. And you just go, this is the guy the Jets thought they were getting. It's 6 years.
Tom, you got to think too, this is a guy that 4 teams gave up on.
But do you also know that this is a guy who is the same age or a little younger than Joe Burrow? He's in the league how many years? It's got to be 6 years now for him or more. He's at least, and not old, at least the same age a little younger than Joe Burrow. So here's a guy who may have just come to the league too soon, came into the wrong situation, got thrown into play, and he's just finding himself. But I have to tell you, if he continues to play this way, boy, oh boy, he's one of those guys that you go, boy, I wish we'd have kept. But you're right. 4 teams let him.
Listen, if we could say that about anybody. Like, the Jets could go back to the 80s and say, I wish we drafted fucking Marino instead of fucking Ken O'Brien. But
no. I don't blame the Jets for getting rid of him. I absolutely do not blame the Jets.
No, I'm not saying you do. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying that, like, hindsight, in this situation, there is none. Even in Minnesota, the only reason he's starting now is because their draft pick got injured. And if you remember right, they were like, well, yeah, right now he's going to start, but, who knows? And then the guy ends up getting hurt.
Yeah.
So, he's done.
No, I don't blame anybody. I think in fact, Sam Darnold needed a change of scenery from the Jets because it was so bad for him here. The whole, I see ghost thing. And, so Sam Darnold needed to leave the Jets. And, it was bad in Carolina. He was terrible. I watched him play against the Giants. He couldn't have been worse. He sat on the bench last year at San Francisco, and now he was going to sit on the bench this year in Minnesota. And maybe somewhere along the line, it clicked for him. I don't know, but I think it's going to be an interesting game this week, and I'll be looking forward to watching it Sunday morning. And like I said, it's an interesting football season. There's a lot of strangeness. Every week we're going to see more and more. I think things will start to come into focus soon. But right now, like you brought it up, Jeff, there are teams that are running. Frisco's 2-2. They look terrible. Now, no McCaffrey. The one thing I'll say about the Dolphins, and we'll end it with this, is, you're Mike McDaniel. You're supposed to be this offensive genius, right? And you put another quarterback in your system, and your system is terrible. You've tried it with Skylar Thompson. You've tried it now with Tyler Huntley, and they can't complete a pass. I get it, but there's a lot of coaches out there that are being competitive with less than stellar players. So either Tua is really good and makes that offense look much better than it is, and I'm not a huge Tua fan, or Mike McDaniel's really not a genius because his offense with 2 of the best receivers in football couldn't complete a pass on the other side of the line. So I think there's some serious consideration to be given to, is Mike McDaniel really that good a football coach, or is he a product of having a decent quarterback and 2 of the best receivers in football? So, looking at this team, I'm interested to see what happens this week. But I would tell you,
keep it going.
Yeah, but I would tell you that it's not pretty for them. Again, the Mets down 2-0, bottom of 7, 1 out. Brewer's still batting. Diaz is in the game. That's interesting. I don't know if he gave up the home runs though. I have to go back and look. But it's going to need to be a big finish by the Mets in order to get to play Philadelphia. There'll be a lot of disappointed Met fans tomorrow. After Monday's game against the Braves, a lot of people said this is their year. They're destined. They go out and win game 1. If they lose this game, there'll be a lot of disappointed Met fans. And listen, this is still a really good season for the Mets. The way it started out the first 2 months and to where they are right now, this is anything but a terrible year. It will be a terrible way for it to end, though, if they do lose here. It would have been, to lose anywhere is terrible. But I would like to have seen them gotten to Philly and see what that series could look like. So, but we're going to wrap it up when Jeff comes back. I want to get to watch some of the football game, get some of the Met game. I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching Jeff and I, and we have a lot of fun doing it. Thank you to everybody who watches us along the way. And we're back every Thursday night. Holidays are coming. We got a lot of special shows, and we'll be talking Jet football. Hopefully, again, for me, I love when New York sports is. The Knicks made a big trade. The Knicks should be a contender for a title this year. The Rangers should be a contender for a title again this year. The Mets, let's see what happens tonight. The Yankees are starting the division series. They have a chance for a World Series berth. And I'm rooting for the New York teams. I'd love to see both Giants and the Jets getting into the playoffs. The Giants have a long road ahead. It doesn't look pretty right now. We'll see if they turn it around. They've gotten better quarterback play. Their offensive line's much better. they just can't put the ball in the end zone. And their defense, while not terrible, is not great, and it needs to be better. We'll get more into the Giants next week. We'll see how they rebound against Geno Smith and the Seahawks this weekend. And, of course, we'll get to watch the Jets and the Minnesota Vikings from London, which, Jeff, I hate these London games. I hate these overseas games.
Yeah, the NFL's got to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sucks. That's how it is.
It's how it goes. But so if you want to watch a lot of football this weekend, there's a 9:30 game. You have the 1 o'clock. You got your 4 o'clocks, and you got your 8 and you got your 8:20s. Tune in. A lot of football on Sunday, but make sure when you want your recap and you want to talk about it, you come back here on the Hot Rocket Sports Show next Thursday night when Jeff and I get together and we do this all over again. Jeff, any more shows coming up? What do we got booked?
Nothing right now, man.
Okay, so just back to the drawing board, working on songs and getting ready with all 3 bands. I mean, you must be busy. Three bands learning new songs.
Not as busy as you think.
All right, well,
there's some misguided people that think differently than people, and
okay,
we'll talk about that off the air.
You got it
in public.
You got it. No problem. I'm glad you're hopefully finding your stride and all that stuff. But guys, we're gonna end this right here. I appreciate everybody tuning in and sticking around for me and Jeff for a couple hours. Good show. A lot of sports talk tonight. Not much in the way of music. I gotta tell you, folks, go on the internet and try to find some music topics to talk about. It is near impossible. It really is. I mean, it's just it's what 3 guys from this band and 2 guys from this band joined up and they're doing either some sort of benefit show or an album or putting together a band for 2 weeks. It's like nothing. It's just nothing out there to talk about. It really it's sad, our industry, and just nothing exciting to look at. Thanks, Joe. We'll talk to you soon, pal. But anyway, we keep our eyes open for things, and hopefully we'll see some stuff. I know there's some Hall of Fame announcements coming up, so that'll help out a little bit. But in the meantime, thank you for all tuning in. We want you guys to have a great week. We appreciate you tuning in, but that's how it's going to end. So again, we want for Jeff and myself, I say have a great night, great rest of your night, great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week. And make sure you come back here when we do this all over again on Thursday night. So for Jeff Towinski and myself and everybody at Hard Rocket Sports, I say thanks. Have a great rest. Have a great week, folks. We'll see you next Thursday. Happy, I'll talk to you off the air.
All right, man. Be good, bro. All
right, pal.
Later.
Later.